In response to the January 6th riots, the House passed its electoral reform bill Wednesday, an effort to clarify how electoral votes are submitted by states and then counted by Congress, and prevent future attempts to deny the election by manipulating the process. Democrats were joined by 9 Republicans, most of whom also voted for Trump's impeachment, and none of whom will be back in Congress next year, including January 6th committee vice chair and sponsor of the bill, co-sponsor of the bill, Liz Cheney.
Our bill reaffirms what the Constitution and existing law make plain. The Vice President has no authority or discretion to reject official state electoral slates.
Former Trump impeachment manager and member of the Intelligence Committee, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow, joins me now. Congressman, thank you very much for being with us. So on January 6th, you were seen on video in the House chamber helping fellow members escape from the mob. The goal here is to prevent the president from overturning results through Congress, from changing the nature or trying to change again the nature of what the vice president can or cannot do. What is the timeline to try to get something on the books before the 2024 cycle heats up? And I can just tell you that Republican Senator, retiring Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, has just signed on to the Senate bill. It's a similar, not exact bill, but now that makes 11 Republican senators.
Yeah, Andrea, the timeline is very short. We not only have to get the bill signed, but we would have to get it signed by the president or passed in the Congress, signed by the president, and then get it out so it could be implemented in time for the next election. So time is of the essence here, and that's exactly why we formed the January 6th committee last year, to start the process of going through and bringing to light everything that happened and creating the conditions for legislation like this to move forward, and really making the case as to why it's important. Because one thing we learned under the Trump administration is a lot of the things that we have previously taken for granted that make up our democracy are not actually in law. It's just Republicans and Democrats, prior administrations over hundreds of years, just deciding that they were going to carry forward our norms, our traditions, our customs, our democratic traditions. But Trump didn't do that. So now we have to make it into law, and we have to make it into law very quickly.
And you've got more than 20 states where you have people on the ballot for Secretary of State or governor positions controlling the electoral process who are election deniers. Now, with only, we believe, one more hearing to go, now apparently we're learning that Ginny Thomas, wife of Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice, in another sort of unprecedented moment, the wife of a Supreme Court Justice, is going to be interviewed by the committee. She's finally agreed to going in. What's the importance of that?
Well, I mean, the supposed or potential abuses by Ginny Thomas are numerous. I mean, I've heard the reports. I've seen reports of the texts. So it's really important we get the full information about what's going on, because there's very clearly a conflict of interest here for Supreme Court Justice Thomas. We need to bring it to light. I mean, one of the best sanitizers here is bringing potential abuses and conflicts of interest to light so the American people can see that. I mean, listen, ultimately, a lot of this is going to be settled at the ballot box. There's an election coming up, and you have one party that has given into extremism, that has decided to double down on the politics of division and vitriol and partisanship, and people will have to decide what direction they want to move the country.
Now, you've fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, served our country on the battlefields. I want to ask you about Mar-a-Lago and the seized documents, because the 11th Circuit has, completely rejected the arguments, the decision, I should say, for the Florida judge that the president has control, the former president should be able to control and have access to that classified documents. In fact, said that he can't just declassify things at will. He then went on television last night and claimed that he can just think things are declassified, that there is no process for it, that a president has complete control. Can you respond to that?
Sure. Well, I'm a member of the Intelligence Committee. I'm a member of the Armed Services Committee. I have dedicated my adult life to the national security and defense of this country. My public service career started in uniform when I was a private. I later became an officer. I became an Army Ranger. I've served in Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not how this works. Right? President, nobody gets to just think in their mind that the deepest secrets are national security secrets, the secrets that might mean life or death for our CIA officers, for our informants, for the people that are developing intelligence networks overseas, for our policymakers, for our troops that are serving right now as we're having this discussion. Information, intelligence that is life and death for them. People don't just get to wish it away and declassify it. That's not how this works, and it just again shows that this president is not well. He's somebody that in his own mind believes he has omnipotent power, that he is the king of the land. He's not. He's a person like anybody else in the United States of America. We have no kings, we have no queens, we have elected representatives, and he needs to be held accountable.
Well, Jason Crow, Congressman, thank you for your service, continuing service, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.